So please go to the icon that looks like a glove and choose a language you want to hear this meeting on. Even if you're bilingual, that way you don't miss any of the information. Thank you. Para aquellos que desean escuchar esta junta en español, por favor vayan a la parte baja de su computadora donde está el globo. Escojan el idioma español, aun cuando sean bilingües. Gracias.
Thank you very much. All right, we do not have a quorum yet, but we will go ahead and do the introductions of the BHAB members. BHAB members, please, when your name is called, would you kindly give your affiliation and stand here, your affiliation and what committee you are attending, please. I can't remember. Good. Right, our Chair Emeritus, Michael Rodriguez, is pitch hitting for us today, so Michael, would you kindly do the roll, please?
Sure, good afternoon, everyone. Soledad Barragan,
Thank you.
Nancy Portrait.
Yeah, she's a member of the public today.
James Brookie,
Kimberly's not in the roles.
Kevin Colisi, Kevin Esperanza, Kevin Colorado,
You won't go on, but I'm here.
Carol CJ Keatley,
CJ is on her way.
we're
Yeah.
trying since the microphone. Supervisor Matt Levere. Here. Naomi Marufo,
Here in District 3 Prevention Committee.
Diane McKay,
Area 2, Youth and Family Services,
Jennifer Williamson,
present. District 4, appointee from Janice Carbon, Adult Services Committee, and I also am CFO of the Candela Group, which is a community-based program.
Sergeant Sean Pusey,
Present, law enforcement representative.
Daniel Rockton,
Here, District 4 and Transitional Youth Committee.
Michael Rodriguez, which is me, I'm here. District 5, Chair Emeritus, members of the Youth Family Services, Adult Services, and Security Selection. Elizabeth Stone,
So that she was going to be here on Zoom. I do not know if that's her. Yep, right, but not in person.
Chris Tejeda, Marlene Torres, my understanding she's excused as well.
Yes.
Liz Warren, I believe she's also excused as well.
Yes.
And Janice Gardner.
Present. Chair of the Prevention Committee and the Behavioral Health Advisory Board.
We have 11 members present. So we have a quorum.
Thank you, Chair Emeritus Rodriguez. Okay, all right. Next we have, any emergency circumstances or just cause, and I've been told that we have no just cause or emergency circumstances, so we'll proceed with the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Are there any changes or exceptions or discussion regarding the agenda today? All right, hearing none, and we have roll, please.
Sure, just to be clear, I believe I made a motion and Diane the second. What? I'm not sure what the bylaws say on this, one way or the other, so I don't wanna.
I can, not the interpreters can't hear. We're out of sidebar anyway, so.
Okay.
All right,
I'm sorry, we're having some technical difficulties. Hold on just a moment, please. Supervisor Levere had suggested that we do all in favor. I oppose no by, a raise of hands. But we might want to look into that, or will look into that, Supervisor Levere, because it will save us some time and we would be very happy to do so. I just need to get some clarification from, the clerk of the board first. Okay, so great idea though. Thank you.
all right, take roll. On the motion to approve the agenda, Soledad Barragan,
Yes.
James Espinosa,
Yes.
Cheryl Heitman,
Yes. Still not working, sorry.
I know, Supervisor Matt Lear,
Yes.
Naomi Marupol,
Yes.
Diane McKay,
Yes.
Jennifer Morrison,
Yes.
Sergeant Sean Pusey,
Yes.
Dahlia Robkin,
Yes.
Michael Rodriguez, yes. And Janice Gardner.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. And may I have a motion to approve the minutes for January 22nd, 2004, please?
I move approval of the minutes.
Second. Okay. Is there any discussion, addition, or changes for the minutes? Any comments? Change the minutes or adjust the minutes, edit the minutes? All right, hearing none, may we have roll, please?
Sure. Soledad Barragan,
Yes.
James Espinosa,
Yes.
Cheryl Heitman,
Yes.
Supervisor Matt Levere,
Yes.
Naomi Marupol,
Yes.
Diane McKay,
Yes.
Jennifer Morrison,
Abstain.
Sean Pusey,
Abstain.
Dahlia Robkin,
Yes.
myself, Michael Rodriguez, abstain, and Janice Gardner.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you, Chair Emeritus. All right, we have, been asked by the Behavioral Health Department, Allison, would you please change the name on your prompt, please? Thank you. All right. Next, we have an honor and a privilege to have CIT Deputy and CIT Officer of the Year Award Ceremony. And I would like to have Mark Stadler, who is the Ventura County Sheriff's Officer, CIT, to come up to the podium, which you already are, and I will be joining you, and we are honoring the CIT officers, all of the CIT officers. So let's give them round of applause. For those of you who may not know, it stands for Crisis Intervention Team, and I'm going to let Mark take it away.
You can hear me now.
Yeah, so.
I can do that. All right, want me to speak loudly, I'll do that. All right, so thank you all for being here. Behavioral Health Advisory Board for hosting us. Before we do the Deputy and Officer of the Year, want to do some recognition. We have the sheriff here is going to make a couple comments in a minute. Jim Fryhoff. I know Supervisor Levere and Dr. Dennering would be here even if they weren't on the advisory board, but thank you for being here. Chief Federico, Chief Benitez, Chief Schindler, see Barry Zimmerman from the Healthcare Agency, thank you. And if I missed anyone, I apologize. I've been scanning the room for a while. All right, so first off, I want to thank you for being here. This is actually the 10th year for the CIT awards. So CIT program, if you're not familiar with it, we've been around for 23 years now. Started in 2001, and we trained over 2,300 law enforcement personnel throughout Ventura County since then. And about 90% of all patrol officers in Ventura County are CIT trained. So odds are you have a good chance of getting a CIT trained officer when there's a mental health crisis in your community. Sheriff, I'd like to come up and make a couple comments. While he's on his way up here, I'm switching over. We're gonna do a couple of special awards before we do the CIT officer and deputy of the year. Sheriff?
Thank you, Mark. Good afternoon. BHAB, it's been a while since I've been here. Obviously, I was a member of BHAB for several years, as well as the Prevention Services Committee. Thank you for taking the time to recognize the CIT Officers of the Year. It wasn't too long ago that if a family member knew they had a family member in crisis, they would have to intentionally ask dispatch for a CIT trained officer. But as Mark has stated, we have so many of our officers now trained that there's better chance that you're going to get a CIT trained officer no matter what you do, rather than not. So thank you very much for the recognition for these officers. Thank you very much, officer, for going through the training. We have a lot of members in our community who are in crisis, and we need to be better prepared to handle it. And you are leading the way and showing the example of how it is done. Thank you for your service. Appreciate you all.
Hi, everyone. I just want to say on behalf of the department and the healthcare agency, thank you again for your service. I want to say thank you to all of our chiefs and leadership in the room for working together with the department to build a coordinated response and to really support our community in need. And again, for all the officers being honored today, congratulations and thank you again for your continued dedication to our community.
Supervisor Levere, did you want to make any comments? You did.
I'm on the microphone. I just want to say thank you so much. I often, when I'm in public, talk about how world-class the law enforcement organizations are in Ventura County. And one of the reasons we are world-class because of the way that we're able to engage in crisis intervention. Just one of the many, the arsenal of professional skills that all of you have, that's a big one. It's so important to the community. And so for all of what you do, and especially crisis intervention, thank you so much for your service to the community.
One of the things that we are still unique in Ventura County is we're the only law enforcement, we're the only county in the state of California that's every law enforcement agency doing the same training. Most other counties, it's hodgepodge, hit and miss, and some people aren't even doing this training yet. So with that, I think we're really fortunate to have this training here in Ventura County.
Great job, Mark.
First off, I want to start off with a special recognition award. They weren't able to attend in person, but we have from the Fence Factory, Myrna Bennett, Lori Bennett. You want to attend their screen there. All right, there they are. So, I dropped by, Myrna and Lori's house today and, handed off your award. You have it with you? There we go. There. I appreciate what they do. They made a donation to the CIT program through the Sheriff's Foundation. And it's, money that we are able to use for one-time purchases for equipment and stuff that we need for our program and for some training for, Aaron and I. So really appreciate your guys' donation and, thank you for supporting the CIT program. Did it? I have to tell you in advance, they didn't want to speak. All right, thank you very much. Move on to,
I would like to say how much I appreciate all of you who serve and what you do, because where would we all be without you? Thank you so much again.
thank you for what you've done for us. Thank you. All right, next up, we're gonna give our mental health person of the year award, Susan Lucky Award. I'll bring up Rebecca Carpenter, our first recipient of the award. She's gonna talk about the meaning behind the award.
Yeah. All right. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Rebecca Carpenter, and I've been on the crisis team now for 26 years, and that is where I met Susan Lucky. I'm gonna give you just a brief glance into her life. She began her career as a psychiatric technician at Camarillo State Hospital. She transitioned from the state here to Ventura County Behavioral Health, where she served our clients with mental illness for over 25 years. She was a member of the crisis team, supervisor of the crisis team, and finished her behavioral health career as clinic administrator at San Paulo Outpatient Clinic. She also worked, a little side gig at Vista Del Mar doing intake. She actively participated in 5150 training for many years to ensure our clients were treated respectfully and within the parameters of the code. She also volunteered her time to county firefighters as part of their critical incident stress debriefing team. She provided support and education to these first responders, so they would know they're not alone after experiencing a traumatic event. She had a special fondness though for the CIT program. She was involved with CIT since the beginning in 2001. She was a teacher, a mental health officer of the day, and participated in role play. She believed behavioral health, crisis team, and law enforcement could and should collaborate to provide optimal care for our clients with mental illness, intellectual disabilities, and substance use issues. She truly lived a life of service without expecting or asking for anything in return. Susan was my best friend, so this is hard for me. Her daughter Elise is here. She comes every year because she knows how important this program was to Susan. Susan, designated the criteria for this award. She believed if you've chosen a path to serve, you should serve with the following attributes. First, integrity. She described that as doing the right thing even when no one is paying attention. Honesty, she said that is self-explanatory. Advocacy, always working to better serve for better services for our clients here in the county. Passion, you need to have a passion for working with our clients with mental illness and to drive to improve services and change them if that's needed here. Compassion, having a caring, empathetic attitude, a commitment to the job of clients and peers, and you need to collaborate and cooperate with other agencies with empathy for both clients and staff and a strong understanding of the importance of the CIT program. I can't stress how much she believed in this program. So thank you, Mark, for having me.
That said, our 2023 Mental Health Professional of the Year is Ruby Avila Herrera. All right. So next up, I wanted to point out someone here in the room. James Espinoza. He was the very first recipient of the CIT Officer of the Year. He's been a supporter of the program ever since. He's now a senior DA investigator, still supports the program. And he recently announced that he's gonna give all that up, and go full-time nonprofit. So with that, we give a special recognition to James. And honor your dedicated service to the CIT program. Thank you. Very much, James. Thank you. Sorry, I still get choked up. Stuff like this. All right, so next up, I'd like to call up our 9 people that were nominated for CIT Officer and Deputy of the Year. Come on up. Gather around behind. So, from the Sheriff's Office, we have Dan Rodriguez, Deputy Hayes, Deputy Wallace, Deputy Massengill. And with the Police Department, we have Takeda, Nunez, Ross, we have our dispatcher Floriano, and Corporal Ballo from Oxnard Police. All of these people, obviously with 9 of them, I don't have time to read about all the amazing things that they've done and accomplished, but their agencies nominated them for the work. We have specific criteria, the CIT program that has come through 40-hour training. And it's more than just a single incident. It's a body of work for them that they've put together throughout the year. And with that, again, like I said, I wish I could talk about all the great things they've done, but it would take us the rest of the entire meeting. So we made a change this year in honor of the 10th year of the award ceremony. In the past, what we've done is we've drug them all up here and then we pick out 1 or 2 out of the bunch for the Officer Deputy of the Year. Effective this year, we changed that. Every one of these here are CIT Officer and Deputies of the Year. So the plan is we're gonna buy a perpetual plaque for each of the agencies. So each year that agency will select their officer or deputy of the year, and that plaque will stay up at their station to recognize the people from their agency that have done that body of work. It's just so difficult every year when you have these great nominations to narrow it down to one person when they've done that body of work for that agency. So here's your plaques. There's also attached to that, there's also a certificate from recognition from the Behavioral Health Advisory Board. Yeah. Here. So one of the things I was reminded to say, in addition to officers and dispatchers, the officers and deputies, our dispatchers are also critical. And this year we're having a dispatcher from Fort Wayne Police being recognized. So our goal from the very beginning of the CIT program was to get 100% of all dispatchers trained, and that's still our goal. Even though it's difficult to do because the turnover rate is high with dispatchers. And because of that, to get them in for a 40-hour class when they have a high turnover rate makes it challenging. But we do slowly get them into the training. And it's super important because they're the first ones taking that phone call on the line. So whatever they can diffuse to figure out where that problem needs to go is extremely important for the CIT program. So my final note is, thank you all for being here. I know some of you are here for the meeting, but thank you for being here for the CIT awards. And just a reminder that I always like to give you is CIT is more than just training. It's not just we train officers and that's it. It's about networking. It's about keeping everyone together, keeping everyone on the same page. We work with the hospitals, we work with private entities, nonprofits, and if those people aren't all working together, if there's people talking behind each other's back, things aren't working out, one of our jobs is to bring them together to the table and talk it out. We can't accomplish things working that way. We all have to work together. It's all about the system of CIT. So everyone here in this room is CIT as far as I'm concerned. So thank you for being here. One thing I almost forgot, so for everyone that's, wants to, we have, photos we're gonna be doing in the front lobby on the Williams Drive side of the building. Our photographer here will, meet us over there, and you can do group shots with, everybody, or with your agencies, with family, whatever you'd like, and we'll get those photos to you later. All right, thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, we have public comments. We have one written public comment that was submitted. And we have a couple of other verbal comments. So first, the written public comment. I'm very sorry, the mics are not working.
Can you stand and use the mic? Sorry.
This works.
Sure, William, then, thank you. All right, our first public comment is a written public comment from Pete LaFollette. And I can read for 3 minutes. His comment is, Proposition 1 is all the talk these days, and there are so many different opinions from those who support it and advocates who oppose it. It's hard to know what Prop 1 will really do for our mental health and unhoused community. There is no infrastructure in place yet, and that's huge. Please don't be fooled. Most of the money that would be diverted to housing is for involuntary treatment in locked psychiatric facilities, but hospital beds are not homes. Listen to as many perspectives and see as many resources as you can to make sure that you can make an informed decision when you vote on Prop 1. Proposition 1 could lead to reduced funding for core services, thank you, resulting in counties having to cancel contracts with community-based organizations, affecting the delivery of essential services. It centralizes control by creating a one-size-fits-all program, establishing a large, unaccountable state agency to oversee the implementation. Proposition 1 affects marginalized communities, especially people of color. Advocates and voters alike should engage in a lively discussion to understand the impact of Proposition 1 on rural areas for voters to stay informed, participate in discussion, and make an informed decision on March 5th, 2020. Deep LaFollette, MHSA. We have some other public comments. If you'd like to come up, please speak for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. So my name is Shauna Morris, and I am the CEO at Casa Pacifica. But today I'm here representing a different group of folks. I'm here representing the Ventura County Community Provider Network. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. So there's a lot of changes. And first, I just want to give a big shout out to Dr. Dennering and to Cheryl and to, I don't know who else here. Yes, and the team that's here at VCBH, because it is amazing the amount of changes that are coming into this space. You just talked a little bit about Prop 1, which is a big deal. But I want to talk a little bit today about some of the changes that you guys have already heard about and what's happening from our perspective. So you've heard a lot about CalAID payment reform, and we knew it was going to be bumpy. Whenever you make this type of major changes, it's a rough road. And it has been a rough road. It's been a rough road for the department. It's been a rough road for the providers. And there's been some pretty significant unintended consequences from payment reform. I also just want to mention that, at the same time, this county, along with other counties, implemented a new electronic health record, Smart Care. You probably heard about that as well. So when you do all of these changes at once, It is not at all going to be a surprise that it didn't go perfectly planned. If it went perfectly planned, then we should all just be done with it, but we're not. And so I'm here today because I wanted to bring this to your attention from a provider perspective. I want to say that I have full faith and confidence that we're going to be able to work it out, but I want you all to know it's not going to be easy. And it's going to take some time, and we're on a compressed timeline because the next budget starts out here in a few months. So I just want to wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. Not that I don't think you're paying attention, but this is my life every single day. It's the provider's life every single day as we're sorting through this. The other thing I want to say is that without a doubt in my mind and in my heart, everyone in this space is doing it for the kids and families that we serve. I have no doubt that there is ill intention. No, there's no ill intention. Everybody wants the safety net to work. We all want to continue to do what we do. We want to do the very, very best we can. And from that perspective, I am so grateful to work in a county that everybody does believe that. You guys are all here volunteering and serving because you believe it as well. Finally, I just want to ask that in the future, that Chair, we might have some more time to talk about this and that we might make it an agenda item. I know that you guys have a packed agenda, but I also want to give it the time that it needs. And you guys are smart people and maybe you all can help us solve our problems. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. There's another public comment.
Hi, I'm Cece Casey, and I was a former board member, I'm a board member, supervisor, leader, board members. After the Camarillo State Hospital closed, there were 2 permanent unlocked mental health rehab centers on Lewis Road called Las Posadas, with intensive treatment for people, including our loved one, with serious mental illness and a high degree of functional impairment. After the passage of Proposition 63, 2004, Mental Health Service Act, one of the MHRC licensing agreement was changed to a community care licensing to accommodate the newly formed transitional recovery model. Leadership was not to supplant existing licensing supports and services and programs. I asked an MHRC clinician what would become of our loved one. It was stated there are no alternative placements in Ventura County, and our family member would probably end up in jail. That insight proved to be true. With the further trauma that followed, lawsuits ensued that eventually placed our family member in an IMD out of county, then resided 13 years with specialized treatment for the severely mentally ill at Ann City Clinic. The county leaders removed unlocked permanent MHRC, a part of our infrastructure for the severely mentally ill population. And now it's time to bring it back. My request is to have our family member placed in an unlocked permanent MHRC in Camarillo with a licensing agreement that leaderships carelessly removed. Thank you.
We have another public comment.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cynthia Torres, and I am the CEO of New Dawn Counseling and Consulting. And so I wanted to speak in behalf of the Ventura County Community Network provider. And part of the challenges that we are facing, I'm really here to advocate for the services that we're providing to our community. We really care about the children and families that we are serving. And I know Colleen had the best intention at heart, yet it has become really difficult for us to continue providing services under the circumstances that we have. So with the new electronic health record and the new billing system, we are facing a lot of challenges that really are becoming an obstacle to provide the services that are so needed in our community. So I'm here really to speak about all the challenges that we are facing. As of right now, our last invoice that we got with the county reflected a number of changes on our CBT codes, that there was no information prior to us receiving our invoice and then being surprised by the changes with the CBT codes at the last minute. And then that has also implied that we are in the process of training and retraining our mental health therapists. We all know that finding therapists in the community is challenging, and they are facing almost like a burnout from all the changes that we are implementing and constantly moving the target again and again and again. So we were hoping that by now we had been in this transition for over 8 months and we were going to find more solutions. And I know that the county is working super hard and they are super great collaborators, but I thought it would be important for all of you to know that it has become more of a challenge than what we expected. And we as CBOs are struggling to be able to meet the contractual services and being able to meet the families and the kids that we really want to serve. Thank you.
All right, are there any other public comments? All right, we have a public comment on Zoom. Please go ahead and keep your comment to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry that I can't be with you in person. I'll keep myself off of video just to make sure the audio comes through. Eric Sternad, I'm the Executive Director at Interface Children and Family Services and the chair of the recently formed Ventura County Community Providers Network. And as Shauna was saying, the community-based providers definitely support the intention behind the CalAIM reforms, the payment reforms, and the department's efforts to lead our system through these growing pains in the first year. I wanted to give Interface as a little bit of an example of what this is like, and every different provider is going through a slightly different thing, but I think it's instructive as a general idea about what's happening. The rates were increased from last year to this year. And in our case, it was an increase of about 17%. You would think, well, that's got to be sufficient. Because the billable hours that we're allowed to bill are more restricted, it's a bit more complicated to actually initiate those. What we anticipate, and of course, we're only about a little over half away into the year right now, but we anticipate that the rate to cover our expenses, and our expenses have gone down, by the way, this year, not up. The anticipated rate, we think, will be closer to 40%, not 17%. So that's leaving us a considerable hole in terms of the revenue. We think many of the other, well, I know because we've been discussing it, many of the other providers are in a similar type of situation. Of course, the state was late in getting information to our county and other counties. We've had a huge change in the referral system, as Shauna mentioned. And that's led to our staff management doing training, doing troubleshooting, and really without having real-time reporting still yet. And so kind of fumbling in the dark a bit in terms of what exactly we can continue to do to make improvements. All this to me leads to the requests that we and other providers have made, which we think is reasonable, that there be some startup funds for this year, help sustain providers, make sure we're solvent so that we can get into next year when I'm sure there's going to be more efficiencies after we've all had a full year under our belt. So we just think it's really important that the committee think about what we need to do to be able to keep providers who we all want to serve, just like our county department counterparts do, serve our community, but we need some support to be able to stay solvent, continue to serve, so that we can kind of weather these changes through the year's end. Thank you.
that concludes our public comments for today. And we appreciate your participation and coming out and hearing your voice. All right, next we have, well, first I just wanted to mention that many of us have heard about the Ventura County Continuum of Care. And we have Jennifer Harkey, who is Ventura County Continuum of Care programs. I think she's the program director. And Jennifer is going to be on Zoom and has a PowerPoint presentation for us today. And it'll be regarding the programs addressing homelessness. And so, Jennifer, are you ready to proceed?
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I am ready. Thank you for having me. Once again, my name's Jen Harkey, and I work out of the County Executive Office. And I do serve as the program director for our county-wide continuum of care. So I wanted to share a little bit about what our continuum of care does and what services we have available to our community. Next slide. So our continuum of care is one of nearly 400 across the nation. We receive federal and state grant funds, mostly through the U.S. Housing and Urban Development, also known as HUD. We also receive funding through the state, through the Housing and Community Development Department. And most recently, we had additional funding come through the state through supportive services and also California Department of Social Services. Many of these grant funds are supporting a lot of our partners, and some of them are here today, like Interface and Behavioral Health, and many other nonprofits as well as agency partners like the Human Services Agency, Healthcare Agency, and partners like Salvation Army or Turning Point Foundation. So we have a lot of partnerships throughout the community that apply for funding through the continuum of care to address homelessness. Many of the programs that we have, I'll talk through some of those in just a minute, addressing and ending homelessness are really focused on helping people get into housing or helping people sustain the housing they're in. And that's really focused on our housing retention. We do have a continuum of care board that serves county-wide, and we have representation across different sectors. And those board members help us look at the data that comes through our system, known as the Homeless Management Information System, HMIS. We also look at other factors on how our outcomes look, what are best practices, and we make decisions that are really focused on bridging the gaps across our community. Next slide. So this gives you an idea of the different types of programs, and I won't go into a lot of detail, but I did want to highlight what these programs mean to us. Homeless prevention is really about keeping people housed, and we have been advocating at the state and the federal level to increase resources in this particular activity type. The homeless prevention funding can go towards utility assistance, rental assistance, and back owed rent for those who are struggling, and especially in the high rent costs that we have here in our county. With rapid rehousing, it's focused on getting people back into housing once they have become homeless. Many of these programs are serving those who may have been in shelter or motel voucher programs and need a little help with a security deposit and rental assistance to get into housing. We also have longer term subsidies that may subsidize a rent for longer periods of time, even up to 24 months, while we're case managing and working with clients to help increase their income or their benefits and make that rent more sustainable. Emergency shelters across our community. We have some that are cost sharing shelters where the city and the county have partnered to expand the number of beds available for shelters. We also help fund emergency shelters across our community through grant funds as well. And then there is a safe haven that's operated through Turning Point Foundation, and that is focused on those with mental illness and or substance use disorders. And that particular program is also funded through the continuum of care. Transitional housing, we have longer term stays up to 24 months for those who may be working on securing employment or going through training programs to increase their income. And some of those programs would include RAIN through the Human Services Agency, focused on families. And we also have some that are focused on veterans, where we have funding that comes through Veteran Affairs at the federal level to help support those programs. Next slide. Permanent supportive housing is really essential to ending homelessness. This is intended for those who are chronically homeless. They may have a disability of some sort, like a mental health disorder, a physical condition, developmental disability, and a chronic health condition. So there's many different types of disabilities that can help someone qualify to get into supportive housing. The intent here is that we are providing supportive services to help someone retain their housing and help them be successful. This permanent supportive housing also does take in 30% of whatever income that individual or that family may have. And so a lot of times it's limited to Social Security income or disability benefits. But this type of housing is what we've been continually pushing to expand because of the need and the numbers that we see in our community is so great that we have applied for unique programs like Home Key through the state. Home Key is helping to convert motels into housing, for example. So really excited to see some of those types of projects. We also have, I did want to mention with the transitional housing, we have some projects coming online through Casa Pacifica and Mesa that are intended to serve transitional age youth in longer term, like 24-month programs while we're working on case management and a transition to permanent housing. Street outreach is also a really important piece to the puzzle in addressing and ending homelessness in our community. This is a way for us to engage with people on the streets and create a rapport. You heard from Mark Stadler a little bit earlier about CIT and the coordination. This is really what street outreach is about. And there's actually an item going to our Board of Supervisors tomorrow. And this item is a follow-up to our homeless plan. The homeless plan has many next steps and recommendations in it. And that is also posted at venturacoc.org under news and announcements. If you want to take a look at all of the recommendations, the Board of Supervisors will be reviewing some of our staff recommendations at the local level. And one of those ties into this street outreach approach and what we call a multidisciplinary team. And a lot of that is involving our sheriff's office, local law enforcement, but a lot of services. And many of those services come through Ventura County Behavioral Health, the Healthcare Agency, Human Services Agency. So there's a lot of ties in between many different agency partners and local organizations to make sure that we're offering those services in the field and that we can help get people connected to housing or shelter or other types of treatment programs. The housing first approach at the bottom of that slide just kind of talks about the approach of getting people into housing and shelter, providing that stability first, and then offering the wraparound services to help people be successful. Okay, next slide. Thank you. The coordinated entry system here in Ventura County is called Pathways to Home. And many of the partners I've mentioned already are partners in this work through this coordinated entry approach. So the whole concept here is that we're working together with many different organizations and agencies to help prioritize people who are highly vulnerable to get into housing and shelter, and make sure that we're doing complete assessments and determining what meets that client's needs. It's also about client choice. When we have something to offer, we want to make sure that there is the client's opportunity to choose between the type of housing or what would make them successful in their placement. Next slide. So strategies to address chronic homelessness. This is an example from the All-In strategic plan at the federal level. And I just wanted to bring this to your attention. There's a lot of guidance and best practices that we're using here in Ventura County to help end chronic homelessness in our community. Chronic homelessness is really about those who have been homeless for 12 months or longer and have a disability of some sort. And so these are our highest vulnerability clients that need that placement. And so this is really the approach to get individuals into supportive housing and help provide that longer term subsidy. Next slide. These numbers are from last year. We are still finalizing our 2024, which just happened the end of January. And thank you to many of you who helped us with our homeless count. Every year we go out and do an unsheltered survey count, and we also include those who are in shelters or transitional housing or motel voucher programs, for example. We also take a look at our at-risk of homelessness populations. These data points come from Ventura County Office of Education, our hospital and clinic system. We also look at jails and those who may have been staying in short term, less than 90 days, to get an idea of how many people are truly at risk of homelessness. Next slide. The current initiatives, we have a big focus right now on offering additional shelter or crisis emergency beds. A lot of that expansion has come through the pandemic when we expanded Project Room Key and motel voucher programs. We have also coordinated with many different organizations, including our domestic violence partners. And we did expand to offer a new grant program through the Coalition for Family Harmony, which started this last year, to expand transitional housing and rental assistance for those who are fleeing domestic violence. Next slide. Pathways to Home, like I mentioned, is the coordinated entry system. So we do go through a screening and assessment process, and then we have direct referrals through HMIS. The HMIS system helps us to prioritize individuals and then also help us collect data. So we know how many individuals are reporting that they are at risk and need homeless prevention, or how many individuals are chronically homeless and need supportive housing. Looking at gaps within subpopulations as well, like our youth, our veterans, our seniors, and those with disabilities. Next slide. And this is a snapshot of those who are participating in the assessment process and presenting cases through Pathways to Home. The easiest way to connect someone is through 211. Interface 211 is a wonderful partner. They have staff who are licensed in HMIS and have the ability to do screenings and assessments over the phone, and then help people get connected to the right resource. Next slide. And this gives you just a brief snapshot of how many programs that we're supporting here through the continuum of care, how many are currently utilized. We currently have 25 available vouchers for veterans specifically. And then the units that are under development, you'll see the 259. That number is really with our home key projects, motel voucher projects, mini mansions, for example, some expansions through Mercy House. So we have different types of housing that are coming online and will help us add more supportive housing units specifically. The transitional housing beds right there are for our transitional age youth, 18 to 24 years old, through Casa Pacifica and Mesa. And then the emergency shelter beds, the 30 beds there, are referring to the Thousand Oaks Navigation Center that was approved through City Council and will be a cost-sharing shelter between city and county. Next slide. These are just the detailed projects of what's coming up. So I won't walk through them, but as you can see, we are trying to continue to expand across countywide to offer more options throughout our geographic region. Next slide. The housing challenges and the rent costs. This is showing you the fair market rent and what is eligible under Housing Authority vouchers, for example, for each size, depending on the family size or the household size. So there are limits on what we can spend. And for households who are living on Social Security or disability income, for example, they most likely are bringing in around $1,200 a month. So really looking even for rooms for rent are challenging in our community. We have been really advocating to look into more shared housing options, master lease agreements. We work very closely with United Way of Ventura County, and they have expanded their landlord engagement program to offer signing bonuses, double deposits, and risk mitigation funds to really help get more people into housing. So we're trying some different creative approaches to expand our landlord network. Next slide. These are our board recommendations from last year when we completed our homeless count in 2023. We will be revising these for 2024 after the homeless count data comes in and is complete. Most likely, we'll be presenting preliminary data to our Continuum of Care Board in mid-March. And then we will bring those final numbers and recommendations to our Board of Supervisors in April. Next slide. And this is my contact information for anyone who may have follow-up questions. I am here to answer questions if you'd like to ask them now. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Jennifer, for that informative PowerPoint and all of this information. Are there any BHAB members that have any questions for Jennifer? Anyone on Zoom? Oh, okay, go ahead, CJ.
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you so much. Can everyone hear me clearly for this report? I noticed that on your supportive housing pipeline, you have stepped it up in Thousand Oaks. As we all know, because of the Shangri-La's mismanagement, that project is on hold. And I'm just wondering about this fall 2024 estimate. How much is that? How reliable is that?
Thank you for the question, CJ. I would say it is on hold because the state is trying to take action to take back that property, which would go to the city of Thousand Oaks. That is our hope, is that we would be able to reacquire that within our county and get that project online so that those units are available for individuals by the end of this year. Reliable, not necessarily. I can't guarantee that they would be converted and renovated by that time frame, but that is our hope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jennifer, in your pipeline, on the pipelines slide, there are a lot of potential housing projects in the works. What will be if you know, the minimum and maybe the maximum for rent costs for a 1-bedroom?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Many of the projects are mixed income projects. So what I mean by that is there may be some units, which you'll see on my slide. These are the units that are dedicated to permanent supportive housing. So they may have, for example, a housing authority voucher tied to them. And that's when we ask only for 30% of that individual's income to be paid towards rent. So if someone's on Social Security, their rent costs may be $300 or $400. For some of the other units that are not PSH, what we call them, they may be extremely affordable units. And so you may be looking at 50% area median income for households, or maybe even up to 80% area median income, depending on the project. So there's sort of a mix in between with a lot of these projects. One of the projects that is completely dedicated to permanent supportive housing is Casa Aliento in Oxnard. And so that one is actually a partnership with behavioral health as well, where behavioral health will have a certain number of units under No Place Like Home that are dedicated to those who are diagnosed and have a mental health disorder and are working with behavioral health.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, are there any other questions for Jen? All right, thank you so much. Thank you again for your presentation and all your hard work. I know it takes a long time to put together all that data and the slides. Thank you. Next on the agenda are chair comments. I wanted to mention that there are 2 openings for BHAB members, one in Supervisor Rivera's office and one in Supervisor Burrell's office. I know that they're both looking for candidates, and so hopefully we'll have some new appointees coming up soon. I also needed to mention that in March, I have a family surgery, kind of a crisis that I'll be attending to out of state. And so during the March meetings, it will be in the capable hands of our executive committee members and officers if I'm not able to attend the meetings. I know that we have some very capable people, and that's the reason that we have an executive committee. So I will circle back with you after that. Thank you. All right, next is the director's report. Dr. Dennery, would you like to come to the podium?
Thank you, Shannon. Hi, everyone. So the full director's report is included in your packet. There are just a few items that I would like to highlight today, and provide some updates. So first is on, Vista Del Mar. As I mentioned in, December and January, we would be retaining, an outside firm to help with the review of documentation and to provide, on-site review. So Chartis Clinical Solutions has completed one full day of review and is completing the second day as we speak, and will be finished with the on-site review today. I will be meeting with them following this meeting actually to receive a briefing, and then report will be subsequently written based on their reviews. So just wanted to provide that update. Second, I wanted to provide an update on, obviously, we talked about the various infrastructure projects that we've been working on throughout the department. One update we wanted to provide is on the proposed community RC, as it's relevant to some of the MHSA community planning process activities that have occurred. So a couple of questions we received. If the building is presently being used, no, this would be the former Rain building that's located in that area. And the plan would be to, in combination with that, proposed annex type of building in addition and rebuilt on that product, on that parcel, that would be adjacent to the existing building. As we've stated before, currently we have earmarked funding from MHSA. The $20 million that we discussed in our CPP process. We completed that process and then submitted the request to the state, and we are currently in discussions with the state regarding that application. And so we will know once we're done with those discussions, and we'll be able to provide more information there. Additional streams that we are including as well include the behavioral health continuum infrastructure project or program better known as the BHAB. We had anticipated completing an application for that in January. However, the governor has delayed the BHAB program. So we anticipated funding for this current fiscal year, 24-25. And there had been anticipation in 25-26, but both rounds have been delayed at this point by the governor. So when we receive more information on that, we will. And then also, should Proposition 1 pass, funding from those areas would also be in consideration. So again, you know, we have to wait and see, but there are a number of alternative funding sources that we would be considering as well. I also wanted to make a note, I mentioned in January that the Board of Supervisors had approved in concept the move of the Public Guardian's Office from the Human Services Agency to the Healthcare Agency under Behavioral Health. That transition has occurred and continues to occur. We have sent out communications through our healthcare agency PIO's office. So this group was included. So if you have not seen it, please let me know. But I did confirm with her that was included in the communications. And so it comes from Ashley, who is the email, or that's what it's about. We communicated this with all of our stakeholders, hospital systems, law enforcement. So, you know, it's more of a behind the scenes type of deal, in that staffing isn't changing, their functions aren't changing, where they're housed, and, you know, the administrative structure has changed, but the process, for how folks would interact with them is remaining the same. So all of the information has been migrated to the behavioral health website, and it's all up to date. So if you have any questions, you can check that out, or please reach out to me, but that's there. And then finally, I just wanted to make a note, that tomorrow we have a number of items on the board agenda, but one item that is there is related to something we've all been talking about, which is our CalAID and the challenges that we've had in payment reform that impact not only our community-based organizations, but also our county operating systems. And, as a state, we have, been all trying to work together to, overcome some of these challenges. And so one of the things that, will be up for approval tomorrow is our provider incentive plan, which we hope will aid in being able to transition some of our CBOs, into this new managed care system. We've all been struggling, and, this is gonna be a working process as we, work out the kinks with the new HR, as the state releases things. Things have not been necessarily released in a timely manner from the state, so we've all been having to play catch up. So we're hopeful that these funds will help support our CBOs in transition. But again, they've been wonderful partners to work with, but this is, some of the work that we've been doing for the past several months to help, with our provider network. So with that, that's the end of my report.
Hi, Dr. Henry.
Hi.
I have 3 questions.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make it quick.
Jennifer.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's not working. You might have to just, I'll just come stand next to you. Just a few questions. So with the staffing of the public guardian's office moving under behavioral health, will you be looking at adding any additional positions for staffing?
For additional deputies. Yeah, so that will be something that's evaluated every year, especially as we look at the demands with the implementation of SB 43 and CARE Act as that moves along. So yes, this is something we will be looking at.
And when is the next time that will come up, like for the next review?
So we're currently working on budget now for next fiscal year and planning for next fiscal year, potential needs right now.
Thank you so much. My next question is regarding the Vista Del Mar review. If in fact they are reinstated for their LPS status, will there be any kind of ongoing checks and balance to make sure everything's going well out there?
Yes, so thank you for that. It's a great question. So that is part of what we will be, that has been part of the review process. If that were to be an option, what would that look like and what type of ongoing monitoring would be required? So.
And is that something maybe that we would be implementing with all LPS, anybody? Or just?
No, so the way we've treated this is basically like they were any new hospital that was applying for an LPS designation. And so the way it would be treated would be in the same way, where we had a new hospital that was coming on board that wanted to join the network. These would be the steps that they would have to go through, and this would be kind of the process throughout.
One last question regarding the MHRC, your discussions with the state, what does the timeline typically look like on something like that?
Great question. They haven't given us one, but just know that we are on top of it. We're pressing them, and they obviously would like to be done with us. So hopefully I will have something to report during the next meeting, but I can't say because it's really dependent on them.
So if in fact, let's just say that it was approved for the money, then how long does it take to begin the process on building the facility?
Great question. So that's already in the works. We're already working on that from the county side. Working with, our county CEO's office and all of the behind the scenes type of infrastructure. That's already happened. We've already secured an architect. We're already looking at plans. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Henry, and we appreciate the updates on the MHRC and Vista Del Mar and all the other updates. Thank you very much for bringing that to us. Okay, next on the agenda is the opening and closing of the Early Psychosis Learning Healthcare Network statewide collaborative. And we do have an explanation about this innovation project in our packet. So if anyone is interested in knowing the process of how this has arrived and why there was an opening with the mental health services oversight and accountability from the state and why we're opening and closing it here. because we are only doing the public hearing here. And I wanted to call our MHSA expert staff member, Lori Carson, to give us a brief synopsis of what the differences are. Thank you.
Sure, so anytime that we have an innovation proposal, an annual update or a 3-year plan, we're required to go through the local review process. For, the Mental Health Services Act currently, that requires a 30-day posting. And that is something that we do try to go through the Behavioral Health Advisory Board for. However, for example, this month, is President's Day, so we're meeting a week later than usual. So if we were posting it for this month, we'd miss our window for next month having a public hearing. So we do occasionally post without having it open here, although that is always the goal, to try to get it opened at the BHAB. So what we then have to do is have the public hearing, and that should happen at the close of the 30-day public posting. So today is the close of that 30-day posting, in which we should have a public hearing, in which we notify and advertise for in anticipation of sending it to the Board of Supervisors next. And then the same point in time that we have our 30-day posting, we have to notify the state. The state has their own public posting process that they go through, which is why if you're on their listserv, you may have seen it twice, once from us and once from them.
Are there any questions for Hillary from anyone before we, I ask for a motion? Anyone on Zoom? Okay, all right, since this is an action item, may I have a motion to open and close the public hearing for the Early Psychosis Learning Healthcare Network Statewide Collaboration Innovation Project? May I have a motion, please, from a BHAB member? Diane, okay, is Diane okay as well? Okay.
Supervisor Revere moved and I'm second.
Moved, okay, so you are, you gave the motion and Supervisor Revere seconded it? Okay, thank you. All right, are there any questions, comments, or comments? All right, may we have roll call, please?
Sure. Soledad Marigan,
Yes.
James Espinosa,
Yes.
Cheryl Heitman, just stepped out. Carol CJ Keating,
Yes.
Supervisor Matt Levere,
Yes.
Naomi Maruco. Brianne McKay,
Yes.
Jennifer Morrison,
Yes.
Sean Pusey,
Yes.
Danielle Rodkin,
Yes.
myself, Michael Rodriguez, yes. And Janice Gardner,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you, Chair Emeritus. All right, next are the BHAB committee reports, versus on the agenda as a prevention committee, and we had a very informative presentation from United Parents. And I just wanted to give a brief synopsis of what that was about. United Parents is it's a national program, and there is a very active Ventura County chapter of United Parents. And their mission is to provide resources to empower, strengthen, and support parents and other caregivers who have youth or children with mental health, behavioral, or emotional challenges. And they have a lot of different programs within United Parents. And a couple of them is an educational advocacy program, and that enables parents and caregivers to work more effectively with school personnel and stay current on changing educational laws. Parents and caregivers learn to advocate for themselves to ensure their child's ongoing academic successes. They also have a wellness aspect, which provides a variety of activities to parents and caregivers, as well as to those who provide support and services to them and their children. Some of their activities include community engagement and educational campaigns, training for parents and caregivers, and those who support them, and local and statewide advocacies. They have support groups designed for parents and caregivers raising children with mental health needs, who want to connect with other parents and other caregivers facing similar situations and challenges. They have trained respite providers who provide care for children in and out of the home while the parents or caregivers go shopping or run errands or stay home, have some quiet time. They also provide a ton of services and resources within the community to parents and caregivers. And if you would like to get receive a copy of the PowerPoint, I can have Jackie send that out to you when she returns. And it's a wonderful, wonderful program, and the county's really lucky to have United Parents here. All right, next would be Kevin Clarice's Youth and Family Committee. Kevin is absent today, so we will table that for next month. And then, yes.
The youth and family, we had a presentation from one of the. Please, Diane.
Diane, okay, so I give her. Synopsis.
I'm not prepared to do the whole meeting because I didn't realize Kevin wasn't going to be here, but it is important. We did have a presentation by City Events in New Dawn, and as a CBO, they went through their extensive services that they offer to the Spanish-speaking population. But she also brought up the issue that came up today about our CBOs. And so our committee also wanted to respectfully ask for that to be placed on the agenda as soon as possible, so we could hear that.
All right, thanks, Diane. Thank you for bringing that up, and we can talk about that or have them contact me, please, and we can set an agenda for them. Or would it be, is it New Dawn that you would like to have on our agenda?
Shauna was here representing that whole group today, so I think Shauna Morris should be the best.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right. Board member comments and announcements. Do we have any board member comments or announcements about anything with which you're involved or would like to speak on? Go ahead, Jennifer. You want to come up? We're working out though.
I wanted to just acknowledge Casa Esperanza. I have recently had an opportunity to interact with their staff and their psychiatrists, and I just really want to let everyone know, I just think they're doing such an amazing job. Specifically, Dr. Beth Hill, the psychiatrist there, is so amazing with the clients. Her bedside manner is stellar. She's understanding and kind. She's just a lovely person and a really good doctor. And she's very good at kind of seeing things down the road. What might have, maybe a client might be languishing, or maybe something might happen later, and she's really proactive on stepping in with early intervention. So I just wanted to say thank you to Casa Esperanza and the doctor and the staff there that's just doing such an amazing job for all their patient. Thank you.
Hey, glad to hear some positive comments. Go ahead, Diane.
I just wanted to let you know, I unfortunately will miss next month, but for a good reason, the Family Justice Center Foundation and the Family Justice Center folks, we are meeting at an all-day retreat in Camarillo. That's the only day that could happen, to discuss the expansion to East County. So it's a really important discussion. I'm sorry it came during this meeting, but if anyone has any input for that, please let me know before that time. Thank you.
Okay, yes, please, if you would email me, CC Jackie or Diane directly and CC me and myself and Jackie, that would be helpful. Yes.
I can't keep track of the things I'm involved in that I should probably announce on, but the one thing that's very important, I did notice, Dr. Denner, you have a veteran section in the back of your report, thank you for that. Who would I contact to add to that?
Jackie.
Jack, okay, we are in the planning phase of a veteran event, veteran first responder and family member community event for May 18th. It's tentatively planned for Constitution Park in Camarillo on May 18th. 2024, working with Bright Youth and I forget which office Monica Nice is with.
Suicide prevention.
Suicide prevention office of the county. If you know resources that you would like to attend that are local, our focus is local. I do nonprofit work with the national outreach, but we want to focus local. We have 2 artists, performers committed so far, and I'm working on a 3rd, so we're really excited about this. So if you have a veteran supporting community, or if behavioral health wants to be out there, we would love for community involvement in this, because really the idea behind it is to not only focus on thanking veterans or thanking first responders, but including the family in this and making it a community event where the community is recognizing the family as well, and the veteran or first responder or both and the family are recognized as a collective rather than just the veteran or just the first responder. So that's the mindset we have with it. And if you know an organization, please reach out to me. The other, well, I guess the other thing we tabled for presentations, but in case I forget it, the nonprofit that I've founded with my wife is under review. I think we're working on the innovations project, final plan. However that works, and I would like to maybe present to the BHAB so that you're aware of what's coming down the pipe and maybe next month or April. I don't know when it's going to be out for review, but I did want to make that request.
Okay, would you please submit an email?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
James, was that fine for that?
Jackie.
Sorry.
So tentatively, the event will be kind of a midday, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're also looking for food vendors, so if you know any big food trucks or people that have catering at 1 out of 10, please let me know. And again, this is planning phase still, and I'll have another update after our next meeting to confirm that the park has been rented, and then getting all of our vendors and performers kind of categorized for that event.
Thank you, James. That's great. May 11th, correct?
May 18th.
May 18th, okay. That's not. Thank you. Dahlia, did you have a question?
Oh, then it's March 18th.
May 18th.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's Saturday, May 18th. It's during Military Appreciation Month. It's a nationwide event, so Military Appreciation Month. May 18th is the one weekend that's not Memorial Day and not Mother's Day and not Cinco de Mayo. So this is strategically planned.
Good planning. Thank you. Okay. Are there any other board member comments? Yes, Dr. Pusey.
Good afternoon. So I was unable to make our last BHAB meeting, but I just want to let everybody know that my team from Detention Services held a discharge meeting on January 17th with many stakeholders. It was well attended. Board member Michael Rodriguez was there. So we have representatives from the PD office, DA's office, Ventura County Behavioral Health, RISE, our discharge planners. And what we're trying to focus on from the detention perspective is setting people up for success when they're released, because as we all know, that's where we can get most people stable. And so that's what we're trying to catch it early and set them up with programs and stuff like that. So it's a work in progress. I think everybody thought it was very well received, and we're already starting to put some things together. So I just wanted to update everybody on it. Thank you.
Are there any questions for either James or Sergeant Pusey? Yeah, Zoom. Oh, yes, Jennifer?
Hi, Sean. Would that, I mean, also, so would that include when you're going to discharge a person that has mental health issues, that you would then discharge them back to behavioral health, like, just to be sure that someone's not on the streets that maybe came from a locked facility or somebody that is conserved, or, you know, a better connection and transition out of services.
This is working. So we already work with behavioral health on some of those individuals. But yes, that it is to try and improve, not to say we don't have a bad working relationship with Ventura Behavioral Health, because it is very good. But we're trying to just work with them and many other resources to not just set them up with programs that are through Ventura County Behavioral Health, but other facilities, to help get them set up for success.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question?
I think so.
Okay, if there are no other board member comments, we'll go to the next agenda item, which is new business. We have the BHSA work group update. The BHAB member who is leading this is not here today, so we don't have an update on that. We'll have to table that for the March agenda. To see if there's participation, or if anyone is interested in participating. It would be an update, it would be a work group that would research and get into the weeds of what MHSA is and what the changes are that are forthcoming, and how it's going to affect the work of the advisory board, the public, our stakeholders, CBOs, who are certainly would be invited to join the work group, and the county, of course. And so we would form a work group and discuss these aspects, do research, and come back to the full BHAB with some kind of report at a later date. Just as a little bit of an aside, a work group does have a beginning and an end, so it would not be ongoing. It might meet maybe half a dozen times, something like that. And then we would also be working with the department as well, hopefully. Once there was some kind of vision and direction. So that will be tabled for next month. All right, the next agenda item is a continuation of virtual and in-person BHAB meetings. There was a discussion during the executive committee meeting. And I believe it's brought up prior as well about continuing BHAB meetings, both virtually and in person. And it was pretty much the idea of everyone that was in attendance that they would prefer to have both, that we would prefer to have virtual and in-person meetings as long as behavioral health was willing to fund the Zoom process. And so we thought it would be best to bring it to the full BHAB for a vote and a discussion. So I'm going to open it up for a discussion to see if any BHAB members that are here today have an idea or any comments about having virtual meetings in addition to in-person meetings, or just to have in-person meetings without the virtual aspect. So go ahead, Mr. Rodriguez.
Just so I'm clear, as far as when we're talking in-person and in virtual hybrid meetings,
Yes.
as far as any voting member, we still have to be physically present unless they fell in one of those exceptions for just cause or emergency situation. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's still the state guidelines.
And then,
Yes.
so what we're talking about here is to enable or facilitate more public participation by also having the public at large to have access to meetings or remote participation.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Very well put. So, are there any other comments? Okay. All right. Well, may I have a motion then? And the motion would be to continue virtual and in-person BHAB meetings.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, Supervisor Rivera made the motion and CJ Keating seconded it. All right, are there any other questions, discussion, or comments? May we have roll call, please?
I'm gonna try for that. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Soledad Paragon,
Yes.
James Espinosa,
Yes.
Cheryl Heitman,
Yes.
TJ Keating,
Yes.
Supervisor Matt Levere.
Yes.
Naomi Maruko,
Yes.
Diane McKay,
Yes.
Jennifer Morrison,
Yes.
Sean Pusey,
Yes.
Danielle Robkin,
Yes.
myself, Michael Rodriguez, yes. Janice Gardner,
Yes.
did I get everybody? All right, motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. All right, presentation requests, if you have any, requests for presentation, please email me and CC, Jackie, and her email is BHAB admin, ADMIN @ventura.org. And, request, and send us an email requesting a presentation. Same thing holds true for item D on the agenda, recognition, award, and recommendations. If you have anyone who you feel should be recognized by the Behavioral Advisory Board, please also send an email to myself. My email is JANICEA-PANACEENT.com. And we will take those under consideration and advisement, under consideration and advisement. All right, we don't have any business under old business this month. So contracts now, the Board of Supervisors approved these agreements on January 9th, 2024, but they are here for us to comment on them. I hope everyone has the opportunity to take a look at the contracts. This is takes a great deal of work from the department to provide us with contract summaries and so on. So, and they're important and they do affect our work and certainly the work of the department. So the first one would be the Pepper House Agreement for Drug Medical Organized Delivery System. That's substance use services. The second contract is the HCFDC. Okay, could someone give us see, does it say what that is? HCFDC?
Yes.
Does anyone?
Yeah, it says it on the letter.
Oh, it does, but it says Healthcare Foundation?
Yes.
Oh, Ventura County, okay, all right, thank you. All right, I do see that. Okay, thank you. So that contract, mentored internship program and Southern California Regional Partnership. Okay, pipeline funded educational stipend and basic needs program funding supports administration services. All right, and that's on our summary as well. I'm sorry, I don't have the summary in front of me. And, all right, and then are there any public comments? Anyone? No, all right. Well, with that, we will adjourn the meeting and I appreciate everyone's support and participation. And Michael, thank you for pitching in.
You're welcome.